So how did you get involved in tenant organizing?
So the apartments that I've lived in have never been that great. The apartment that I'm currently living in, a box was actually delivered to my apartment from the union, Katarokwi Union of Tenants, just kind of like some little Christmas gifts, a little card, just kind of letting me know, hey, we're here if you need us. And I was like, oh, this is definitely what I need because, I don't know, like our landlord just doesn't take care of issues, and it's really hard to like talk to him one-on-one and try to get him to take stuff like that seriously. So I don't know, working with other tenants and like other people that care about this stuff is like why I got involved.
You mentioned that you haven't always lived in great apartments. What kinds of experiences have you had in places that you've lived?
So I lived at this one apartment up on Parkway Street, and they had a lot of bugs. And when we moved in, like we lived in an apartment that had no bugs. And then we moved in, and there were bugs like literally everywhere. Like you'd look at the time on the microwave, and they'd be inside like the walls of the microwave.
Wow.
Yeah. And you'd go to the superintendent, you'd be like, hey, like this is an issue. And they would say, oh, fill out a letter. Like as if it didn't really matter, like as if something was leaking or something. So anyway, I'd fill out a letter, and they'd come to my apartment a few days later to like look at it. And I mean, I lived with my mom and my sibling and our animals, right? So on the floor, we obviously had a little thing of dog food and water and cat food. And the landlord was like, there's your problem. That's why you have bugs.
Because you have cat and dog food out?
Yeah.
As if most people who don't have cats and dogs
I guess everybody that
bugs.
has dogs has cockroaches, right? So, but that was kind of his, yeah, he just kind of blamed us, said we were the reason the whole building had bugs because we were feeding our dogs. We don't live there anymore. That building's still infested with bugs. People are, like, I'm still talking to tenants that live in that building and deal with the same issues. And the landlords and the property managers at buildings there, and like honestly, like all across town, just kind of continue to make the person complaining, like make them feel like it's their fault.
Right.
You know, like they really...
Like they need to be doing something different in order for these problems not to be happening.
Yeah, like he comes into my apartment and says, it's your fault because of your dog food. So now I'm embarrassed. Like, oh, I'm the reason this apartment has bugs. Like I don't want to talk to my neighbor about it because like then they're going to think I'm the dirty person. And then so we kind of lose that power because you think it's your fault and you don't have that collective, all the other tenants to work with you. But they all have the issues too. And so it's nice to kind of connect with them and realize that we all have the same issues and we can work together as a team to kind of be more powerful against the people that aren't fixing it.
So that, I guess, brings us to the Katarokwi Union of Tenants, and it sounds like part of that model is bringing people together to assert your collective power.
Yeah.
So what kinds of stuff does the Katarokwi Union of Tenants do to support tenants or to realize that?
So we've had people, like in our little Facebook group, we have a Facebook group, and people will comment like, here's an email from my landlord, what's something that I can do about this? Or has anybody dealt with this landlord before? I might move into this apartment, do you have any stories about him? Is it a safe place? Or I'm living in this apartment and I'm having this issue. Are there any other people in this building having this issue? And people are kind of able to connect that way. Like we did have, I used to talk to these two people and they would help other people like fill out their forms, you know, like having to constantly put in complaints and stuff like that gets exhausting having to do it every day. So it's nice to kind of have a lot of people to help you.
So you mentioned a little bit about your own experiences with a landlord and having to deal with cockroaches and bugs. I'm wondering if you've had other kinds of experiences that were challenging in housing, or if you've had encounters with property standards, and what was that like?
So in the apartment that I'm in now, we have a huge humidity issue. So I have to have a dehumidifier running 24/7, and then I have to pay to have it running 24/7. Otherwise, along the baseboards of like my whole apartment, I get literal puddles, like not just like a little damp, like it's an actual puddle. I think that somebody spilt a drink or something.
Wow.
And I bring it up to my landlord, and he says like, "Yep, that's too bad. Maybe you shouldn't cook so much." You know, when you boil water, your apartment gets more humid. I'm like, okay, thank you for that tip.
Right, because most people's apartments are just so humid that pools of water form places.
Yeah, like every night at dinner when you make pasta, I'm sure that happens at your house, right? So yeah, so with that issue, I called property standards and I was like, hey, like I think something's leaking, or I don't know, this is unnatural, this shouldn't be happening. And they came and they looked at the issue, and then they were fine with the dehumidifier being the solution. And to me, that doesn't feel like a solution. Like, I guess now I don't have puddles, but now I have this loud humidifier running in my tiny apartment, and it's dirty and it's gross, and like and I have to pay for it to run.
Yeah, and it's costing you money.
You know,
right.
like I paid for this to be fixed, and it's just, it's frustrating that like the one resource that like I have as an individual is like property standards, and like their solution doesn't feel like a solution.
Is that something that you hear from others that you work with in the tenant organizing sphere?
Yeah.
What are their experiences like with property standards?
I know a lot of people with like the bug issue, for example. So property standards is like, oh, okay, we're gonna get your unit treated. We're gonna make sure your landlord treats your unit. But you need to treat the whole building, right? So, and I think that people at property standards would be smart enough to know that. Like, everybody knows if a building's infested, a building should be treated, not just one room, not just one unit. So it is really frustrating that like their solutions almost feel like Band-Aids, but like soggy Band-Aids.
What would you like to see property standards be doing instead?
I know that they have the power to fix these issues and then like go back and deal with the landlord like for financial recovery or whatever. I think it'd be nice if they did that more, because it's not like a small section of renters dealing with issues like this. It's a lot of us.
Can you say more about why you do this work? Because like you said, people are taking money out of their own pockets to help feed other people who need it, or taking time out of their day, and it sounds like volunteering time, to help people fill out paperwork, or to help people connect with resources. Tell me more about why people are doing that and why you're doing it.
I guess it needs to be done, right? Like it's a need that needs to be filled, and then nobody's filling it, like it's being forgotten. I see people at the hub being cold and hungry, and the city's not going down there and having, I don't know, like just ongoing fires, or putting them in homes, like realistically, like no fire, putting them in a home. But like, there's issues, and the answers are so simple, and nobody's doing it. And I just feel like whatever little power I do have, or medium power a collective of people have, is like, gonna make some sort of change, and that's why we do it.
And why do you think that people in power who can solve these problems aren't solving them?
I think I want to say they don't care, but it can't just be that simple. Like, I think maybe they don't fully understand what it's like. 'Cause like there's that stigma, like, oh, people that are like, if you don't like your landlord, just save up money and buy a house. But people that are renting and are paying out of their own pocket to deal with all of these issues in their apartment don't have the money to save up to buy a house, Yeah. And then people that do have enough money to buy a house are being outbid by landlords. So it's just like,
yeah, there's so much wrong with the housing market, right?
Yeah.
About who, it seems more about making money than it is about housing people.
Yeah.
Right. I find what you say about why you get involved and why you're doing that work to be compelling, and I imagine other people would too. How can people get involved in the Katarokwi Union of Tenants and the work that you're doing?
It's actually really easy to remember, tenantsunite.ca. That's the website for the Katarokwi Union of Tenants. There's a Facebook page, you can email us. There's monthly meetings that you can come to just on Zoom. and just reach out and just say what you're interested in. Like whether you're good at writing and you want to write words on our website, if you know how to design stuff and you can hand out pamphlets, if you have some money you want to donate, if you have some time you want to donate, if you need help, like truly anything. And you can contact us, online.
What do you think would make Kingston a better place for especially people who are really struggling?
Yeah. I'd really like to see, I know that rent control doesn't exist on new buildings, so I guess like saying build all the stuff that we need doesn't really fix the issue.
Sorry, can you say that again? Rent control doesn't exist for new buildings? I'm just not sure if everyone's aware of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what year it was, maybe 2018, but buildings that are built now don't have rent control. So some of my friends that just moved into the new buildings, like on Princess Street, their rent can go up however much it wants to go up next year.
Between each year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Every time like on your anniversary date or whatever. And then my rent's controlled, so it only goes up a little bit. So if we just build all this new stuff, then all these people are going to move into uncontrolled rentals.
Which sort of sounds counterintuitive to affordability.
Yeah. So I know the big thing right now is build new affordable housing, but you can build new affordable housing this year, and next year it's not going to be affordable anymore.
What else do you think might help?
I think it'd be nice if we took the stuff that we already have and we changed it into affordable housing. So whether the city wants to, so my building is run down and it's owned by some independent landlord. And it'd be nice if the city would buy my building and then fix it up a little bit, and then I guess they could profit off of me, and they could not charge my neighbor double what I'm paying, because I'm paying less than $1,000 and they're paying almost $2,000 for the same rundown apartment. So yeah, it'd be nice if the city turned even like the empty buildings into housing, because those are going to be rent controlled, I think, maybe. I'm not sure what the details are, but it would just be nice for them to make more housing that would be affordable, use the resources that we have.